Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, watching the stars through the big window in front of him. He had been exploring space for 12 years, but he still loved seeing new places. Today felt different, though. Something was wrong. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from the planet below," said Dr. Lisa Grant. She was looking at her screen with worry in her eyes. Lisa was the smartest person Jake knew, and if she was worried, then he should be too. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. He walked over to look at her screen. "Energy signatures that don't match anything in our files. They're too organized to be natural. I think someone built them." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years of exploring, they had never found proof of alien life. Earth had been looking for other smart life forms for hundreds of years. Now they might have found it. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Pretty sure, Captain. These patterns are too perfect. Someone made them." Lieutenant Ben Parker looked up from his station. Ben was in charge of weapons and defense. He was a good soldier, but he didn't like surprises. "Captain, should I put our shields up?" "Not yet," Jake said. "If there really are aliens down there, we don't want to look like we're here to fight. Amy, try to send a message." Amy Rodriguez was their communications expert. She could speak 7 human languages and was good with computers. "What should I say, Captain?" "Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we're explorers from Earth, and we'd like to meet them." Amy worked on her computer for a few minutes. "Message sent, Captain. I used mathematics and pictures to try to make it clear we're friendly." They waited. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft sounds of the ship's computers. Jake looked at his crew. They were all good people. Lisa had left her family on Earth to explore the stars. Ben had fought in the Mars colonies before joining the exploration service. Amy was young but very smart. Jake didn't want anything bad to happen to them. "Captain," Amy said suddenly, "I'm getting a response." "Put it on the main screen." The big screen in front of them changed. Instead of stars, they saw a face that was definitely not human. The alien had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. It was wearing some kind of uniform with strange symbols on it. "I am High Commander Zetar of the Velthron Empire," the alien said. Its voice was deep and scary. "You have entered our territory without permission. This is a crime." Jake stepped forward. "Hi, Commander. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We didn't know this was your territory. We're peaceful explorers from a planet called Earth. We'd like to talk and maybe become friends." Zektar made a sound that might have been laughing, but it wasn't. "A nice laugh. Friends, you are weak creatures. Your ship is small, and your weapons are nothing. You dare to come here and speak to us like equals?" "We don't want to fight," Jake said. "We just want to learn about other life in the universe." "Learning time is over," Zektar said. "You will surrender your ship and tell us where your home world is. Then we will decide if your people deserve to live." Ben Parker stood up. "Captain, their ships are powering up weapons. I count at least 20 of them." Jake looked at the screen showing the alien ships. They were big, much bigger than the Terra Nova. Their weapons were glowing with energy. This was very bad. "We can't fight 20 ships," Lisa whispered. "We're not going to fight," Jake said. "Amy, send another message. Tell them we're leaving their space right now." "I don't think they care, Captain," Amy said. "They're still charging weapons." Zektar appeared on the screen again. "Too late for running, humans. You have seen too much. Your people might become a threat to us someday. Better to end this now." "Ben, get us out of here," Jake ordered. "I'm trying, Captain, but they're blocking our path. They've surrounded us." Jake's mind raced. They had to think of something fast. The alien ships were getting closer, and their weapons were almost ready to fire. Lisa, what do you know about their technology? From what I can see, they use energy weapons and force fields. Pretty standard stuff, but much more powerful than ours. What about their formation? Are they following any pattern? Ben looked at his screen. They're in a perfect circle around us. Very organized, very by the book. Jake smiled a little. Maybe that was their chance. Amy, can you jam their communications for a few seconds? I can try, Captain. Do it. Ben, as soon as their communications go down, fire all our engines at once in different directions. Make it look like we're breaking apart. Captain, that's crazy. We could actually break apart. Trust me. Lisa, can you make our ship look like it's exploding? I can release some gas and energy. It'll look like we're dying. Do it. Amy worked fast. Communications jammed, Captain. Now, Ben fired all the engines in different directions. The ship shook and made terrible noises. Lisa released clouds of gas and bright flashes of light. On the alien screens, it would look like the Terra Nova was breaking apart and exploding. The alien ships stopped moving. They were confused. This wasn't what they expected. Humans weren't supposed to be tricky. Cut engines, Jake whispered. Drift. Toward that asteroid field. The Terra Nova floated quietly toward the rocks. The alien ships were still trying to figure out what happened. Some of them were scanning the area where the explosion occurred. Captain, it's working. Ben said softly. They think we're dead. They hid in the asteroid field for 6 hours. Finally, the alien ships left. They had searched for a while, but they found nothing. They thought they had killed all the humans. Jake let out a long breath. Amy, record everything. That happened here. We need to get this information back to Earth. Already done, Captain. Good. Ben, plot a course for home. Best speed. As the Terra Nova headed back toward Earth, Jake thought about what had just happened. They had found alien life, but it wasn't the peaceful meeting everyone had hoped for. These aliens, the Veilthrins, were dangerous. They saw humans as weak and wanted to destroy them. But Jake knew something the aliens didn't know. Humans were good at surviving. They were good at fighting when they had to. And they were very good at learning from their mistakes. Captain, Lisa said, what do you think will happen when we get home? Jake looked at the stars ahead of them. I think we're going to have to get ready for war, Lisa. And I think those aliens have no idea what they just started. The Terra Nova flew through. Space toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. Behind them, the Veilthrin Empire was already making plans to find and destroy the human home world. High Commander Zektar was pleased with himself. He had shown these weak humans what happened when they entered Veilthrin space. Soon, he would find their planet and finish what he started. But Zektar had made a mistake. He had let one human ship escape, and that ship was carrying something more dangerous than any weapon. Information about the Veilthrins and proof that they could be fooled. The war was about to begin, and neither side knew what the other was really capable of. But only one side was about to find out they had picked the wrong enemy. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in the big meeting room at Earth Defense Command. The room was full of the most important people on Earth. Everyone was quiet, waiting for her to speak. She had Jake Morrison's report in front of her, but she knew it by heart already. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, 3 days ago, Captain Morrison and his crew made first contact with an alien species. It did not go well. She pressed a button, and the big screen showed pictures of the Veilthrin ships. Everyone in the room leaned forward to get a better look. These aliens call themselves the Veilthrin Empire. They have better technology than us, more ships than us, and they want to destroy us. They think we are weak, and they want to find Earth. General Patricia Moore stood up. She was in charge of all Earth's armies. How long do we have? We don't know, Kate said. Captain Morrison's ship was damaged, so it took them longer to get home. The aliens might already be on their way. President Helen Carter looked worried. What are our options? We fight or we die, Kate said simply. These aliens don't want to talk. They want to destroy us before we become a threat to them. Double quotes. Dr. Marcus Webb cleared his throat. He was the head of the Advanced Research Division, and he looked excited, instead of scared. Admiral, I think we have more options than you realize. Everyone turned to look at him. Marcus was known for his crazy ideas, but he was also very smart. What do you mean, Doctor? Kate asked. For the past 20 years, my team has been working on projects that everyone said were impossible. We've been trying to break the rules of physics, and we've actually succeeded a few times. What kind of projects? President Carter asked. Marcus smiled. Things that would sound like magic to most people. We've learned how to talk to ships anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We've built computers that can think faster than any human brain. And we've discovered something we call probability manipulation. Probability manipulation? Kate asked. We can change the odds of things happening. If there's a 1% chance something will work, we can make it 50%. If there's a 90% chance we'll lose a battle, we can make it 50-50. Colonel Rick Hayes laughed. That sounds like science fiction, Doctor. So did flying to the moon once, Marcus said. So did computers that could fit in your pocket. So did talking to someone on the other side of the planet. Everything was impossible until someone made it possible. Kate looked at the papers in front of her. How long would it take to make these weapons? They're not weapons, Marcus said. They're tools. And some of them are already finished. We just need to build more of them. How many more? Enough to equip 1,000 ships. General Moore stood up again. We don't have 1,000 ships. We have maybe 50 ships that could fight in space. Then we'll build more, Colonel Hayes said. How long do we have, Dr. Webb? If we work day and night, if we use every factory on Earth, if we get everyone to help, maybe 6 months. 6 months to build 1,000 ships? President Carter shook her head. That's impossible. So was everything else we've done, Marcus said. The question is, do we want to live or do we want to give up? Kate looked around the room. These people were the leaders of Earth. They had to make the hardest decision in human history. All right, she said, we'll try. But we need to be smart about this. We can't let the aliens know what we're really doing. What do you mean? General Moore asked. We need to make them think we're still weak. We need to keep sending out the same kinds of radio signals we always have. We need to make them think our technology is still primitive. Amy Rodriguez, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Admiral, I can help with that. I know how their communication systems work now. I can make sure they only hear what we want them to hear. Good, Kate said. What else do we need to do? Colonel Hayes opened a folder. We need to turn every factory on Earth into a weapons factory. We need to train millions of people to fight. In space, we need to mine asteroids for metal. We need to do things that have never been done before. Can we do it? President Carter asked. We have to, Kate said, because if we don't, there won't be any humans left to worry about it. The meeting went on for hours. They made plans for things that seemed impossible. They talked about building ships faster than anyone had ever built them before. They talked about training soldiers who could fight in ways no one had ever fought. Before Dr. Webb explained his technologies to the military leaders. Some of them were hard to understand, but they all had one thing in common. They were completely different from anything the aliens would expect. The key, he said, is that we think differently than they do. They build bigger guns, so we build smarter guns. They build stronger armor, so we build weapons that ignore armor. They follow rules, so we change the rules. Meanwhile, in space, the Velthran Empire was getting ready for war too. But they were making different preparations. High Commander Ziktar was in his flagship, looking at star maps. His officers were with him, planning their attack on Earth. The human ship came from this direction, one officer said. Their home world must be somewhere in this area. How long to find it? Ziktar asked. A few months, maybe less. Their technology is primitive, so they can't hide very well. Good. And how long to destroy them once we find them? A few days at most. They have no real weapons, no real defenses. It will be easy. Ziktar smiled with his sharp teeth. Perfect. Send messages to all our ships. Tell them to prepare for a glorious victory. But while the Velthrans were making plans, they were also listening to Earth's radio signals. They heard human music, human news, human conversations. Everything they heard made them more confident that humans were weak and primitive. They heard about human wars fought with chemical explosives and metal bullets. They heard about human computers that were slower than Velthron pocket devices. They heard about human space travel that was clumsy and dangerous. What they didn't hear was them. Truth. They didn't hear about the secret factories being built. They didn't hear about the new technologies being tested. They didn't hear about the millions of humans learning to fight in ways that would surprise any alien. Back on Earth, the work never stopped. In factories around the world, people were building things they didn't fully understand. They were following blueprints that looked like magic. Dr. Sarah Blake was working on artificial intelligence systems that could learn and adapt in real time. These computers could watch an enemy's tactics and figure out how to beat them within minutes. Captain Ninia Torres was testing new engines that could make ships move in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics. These engines didn't just push ships forward. They changed the space around the ships. Dr. Emma Foster was studying the recordings from Jake Morrison's encounter with the aliens. She was learning how their technology worked and how to make it work better. Everyone was working toward the same goal: survive the first battle and learn enough to win the war. Kate Sullivan stood in the command center, watching reports come in from around the world. Ships were being built faster than ever before. Weapons were being made that had never existed before. Soldiers were being trained for battles that had never been fought before. Admiral, her assistant said, we're getting reports from our deep space sensors. Something big is moving toward our solar system. Kate felt her stomach tighten. How big? At least 100 ships, maybe more. They're still far away, but they're coming. How long do we have? At their current speed, maybe 3 months. Kate nodded. 3 months to finish preparing for the most important battle in human history. 3 months to get ready to fight an enemy that thought they were weak and primitive. But Kate knew something the aliens didn't know. Humans were at their most dangerous when someone underestimated them. And the Velthrans were about to make the biggest mistake in their empire's history. The calm before the storm was ending. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of. High Commander Ziktar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. Through the huge windows, he could see the human home system. There was their sun, and there were their planets. It had taken his fleet 4 months to find this place, but now it was over. How many ships do they have? He asked his weapons officer. Sensors show about 200 ships, Commander. They're smaller than ours, and their energy readings are weak. Ziktar laughed. 200 ships against our 1,000? This will be even easier than I thought. He opened a communication channel to his entire fleet. Warriors of the Velthran Empire. Today, we destroy the humans who dared to enter our territory. Their ships are weak, their weapons are primitive, and their courage will fail them. Attack. But as the Velthran fleet moved forward, something strange happened. The human ships didn't run away. Instead, They formed a line between the aliens and Earth, as if they actually planned to fight. Commander Alex Chun was on the bridge of the human flagship, the New Hope. He had been chosen to lead the defense because he was the best tactical mind in the human fleet. Now he was about to find out if all their secret weapons would work. All ships, this is Commander Chun. Remember your training. These aliens think we're weak, so let's show them how wrong they are. The first wave of alien ships came in fast, firing their energy weapons. Their beams were bright and powerful, and they hit several human ships. But instead of exploding, the human ships just absorbed the energy and kept flying. What? Zektar said. Their shields shouldn't be able to handle our weapons. Commander, they're not using normal shields, his science officer said. They're doing something with the energy itself. They're turning our weapons into power for their own ships. Zektar didn't understand, but he didn't need to. Send more ships, use bigger weapons. But the humans were ready for that too. Captain Nina Torres was flying a ship called the Probability Dancer. When the aliens fired their biggest weapons at her, she activated her probability drive dot suddenly. Her ship was in 3 different places at once. The alien weapons hit empty space while her ship attacked from a direction it shouldn't have been. Possible. Impossible. Zektar's tactical officer shouted. That ship was right in front of us, and now it's behind us, above us, and to the side of us, all at the same time. Captain Ryan Murphy was having similar success with his ship, the Reality Bender. His engines didn't just move his ship. They changed the space around it. When aliens fired at where his ship was, it was actually somewhere else entirely. But the real surprise came when the human AI systems went to work. Dr. Sarah Blake's computers were watching the alien tactics and learning from them. Within minutes, they had figured out how the aliens liked to fight, and they started giving the human ships advice on how to beat them. Alien formation pattern recognized. The AI told Commander Chun, recommend tactical response 7. Chun smiled. All ships execute tactical response 7. The human ships suddenly changed their formation. Instead of fighting like a normal fleet, they started fighting like a school of fish, moving together in ways that confused the aliens completely. Every time the aliens tried to surround a human ship, it would slip away and attack from somewhere else. Every time they tried to use their superior firepower, the humans would scatter and then come back together in a new pattern. This is not how space battles work, Zektar shouted. They're not following any rules. Commander, they're adapting to our tactics faster than we can change them, his tactical officer said. Every time we try something new, they figure out how to counter it within minutes. But the humans were just getting started. The next surprise came when they revealed their entropy weapons. While the aliens used energy to destroy things, humans had learned to use entropy itself as a weapon. Captain Danny Williams fired the first entropy torpedo. It didn't explode like a normal weapon. Instead, it made the enemy ship's own systems work against it. The alien ship's weapons started firing randomly. Its shields began draining power from its engines. Its computers started giving wrong information to its crew. What's happening to our ships? Zektar demanded. I don't know, Commander. It's like they're falling apart from the inside, but there's no damage to the hull. More human ships began firing entropy weapons. Alien ships started losing power, losing control, losing the ability to fight. But they weren't being destroyed in the normal way. They were being defeated by their own technology. The battle that was supposed to be easy was becoming a disaster for the Velthrins. Their ships were more powerful, but the humans were using power in ways that made no sense. All ships retreat to safe distance, Zektar ordered. We need to regroup and figure out what's happening. But as the alien ships tried to retreat, they discovered another problem. The humans had been jamming their communications from the beginning. Half the alien fleet didn't get the retreat order. They kept fighting while the other half tried to leave. The result was chaos. Alien ships were running into each other, firing at their own allies by mistake, and generally falling apart as an organized force. Commander Chun watched the alien retreat with satisfaction. All ships, pursue, but don't get too close. We want them to think about what just happened. The human fleet followed the aliens at a safe distance. They had won the first battle, but everyone knew the war was just beginning. On the Dominator, Zektar was trying to understand what had gone wrong. His fleet was much bigger than the human fleet. His weapons were more powerful. His ships were stronger. But somehow, the humans had won. "Get me a report on human technology," he ordered. "I want to know how they did this." His science officer looked confused. "Commander, according to our sensors, they're still using primitive technology. Their ships are made of metal and plastic. Their weapons use chemical reactions. Their computers are slow and clumsy." "Then how did they beat us?" "I don't know, Commander. It's like they're using primitive technology in ways that make it work better than our advanced technology." Zektar thought about this. In all his years of military service, he had never seen anything like what the humans had done. They had taken weapons that should have been weak and made them stronger than Velthran weapons. They had taken ships that should have been slow and made them faster than Velthran ships. "Send a message to the High Council," he said. "Tell them we need reinforcements. Many reinforcements." "How many, Commander?" "All of them? Send every ship in the Empire. These humans are not what we thought they were." But even as he sent for help, Zektar knew he was admitting something terrible. The mighty Velthran Empire, conquerors of 100 worlds, had been defeated by a species they thought was primitive. Back on the human ships, the crews were celebrating. They had won their first battle against aliens, and they had done it using technologies that shouldn't have worked. "Commander Chun," Captain Torres said over the radio, "did you see the look on their faces when our probability drives activated?" "I saw it," Chun replied. "They had no idea what to do. Their entire tactical system is based on things being in one place at one time." Dr. Blake's voice came over the communication system. "All ships, this is Dr. Blake. Our AI systems have learned a lot from this battle. We now know how their weapons work, how their shields work, and how their tactical systems work. We can beat them even more easily next time." But Commander Chun knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would be back, and they would bring more ships. The real test was still coming. "All ships return to Earth," he ordered. "We need to prepare for the next battle, and we need to prepare for the possibility that we might have to take this war to them." As the human fleet headed home, they passed the wreckage of several alien ships. The aliens had been so confused by human tactics that some of their ships had actually crashed into each other. It was a good start, but everyone knew the aliens would learn from this battle too. The next fight would be harder, but the humans had proven something important. They weren't the weak, primitive species the aliens thought they were. They were something much more dangerous. They were a species that refused to accept limitations, and now they were a species at war. General Patricia Moore stood in the war room, looking at a map of the galaxy. Red dots showed Velthran territory. Blue dots showed human territory. Right now, there were a lot more red dots than blue dots. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said to the officers around her, "it's time to go on the attack." Admiral Jake Morrison, now in charge of the new Galactic Expeditionary Force, nodded. "The aliens are expecting us to defend Earth and wait for them to come back. They're not expecting yous to bring the fight to them." "But their territory is huge," Colonel Hayes said. "They have thousands of worlds. How do we attack all of them?" "We don't," General Moore said. "We attack the ones that matter. Dr. Webb, show them what we've learned." Dr. Marcus Webb pressed a button, and the map changed. Some of the red dots became brighter than others. "These are the worlds that keep the Veilthrin Empire running," he explained. "They have 3 major shipyards, 5 weapons factories, and 1 central command world. If we can take out these targets, we can cripple their entire empire." "How many ships do we have?" Admiral Morrison asked. 500 combat ships, all equipped with our new technology," General Moore said, "plus 200 support ships. And they have about 3,000 ships, but they're spread out across their territory. If we move fast, we can hit their important worlds before they can bring their fleets together." Captain Danny Williams spoke up. He had been promoted after his success in the first battle. "General, I've been working on special tactics for this mission. We're not just going to attack their worlds. We're going to turn their own technology against them." "Explain," General Moore said. "We figured out how to hack their computer systems. When we attack a world, we can make their defense systems fight each other. We can make their ships attack their own bases. We can make their weapons turn off at the worst possible moment." Dr. Emma Foster added, "We've also learned to improve their technology. When we capture their equipment, we can make it work better than when they built it. Their own weapons become more effective in our hands." Admiral Morrison smiled. "So we're not just going to beat them. We're going to beat them using their own technology, but better." "Exactly," General Moore said. "But there's more. We're also going to offer their subject races a choice. They can keep serving the Veilthrins, or they can join us and be free." The plan was ambitious. Human fleets would attack 9 different worlds at the same time. Each fleet would have a specific job: destroy shipyards, capture weapons factories, or rescue enslaved populations. 3 weeks later, the attacks began. Admiral Morrison led the attack on the main Veilthrin shipyard. It was a huge facility in orbit around a dead planet. Hundreds of alien ships were being built there. All ships. This is Admiral Morrison. Remember, we want to capture this facility, not destroy it. We're going to need those shipyards to build our own fleet." The human ships came out of hyperspace right next to the shipyard. The Veilthron defenders were completely surprised. They had been expecting the humans to attack Earth again, not to attack deep in Veilthrin territory. "Impossible." "The Veilthrin," Commander shouted. "How did they get past our sensor networks?" But the humans had learned to use probability drives for more than just combat. They could use them to make their ships undetectable. From the alien point of view, the human ships had appeared out of nowhere. The battle was short. The human ships used their entropy weapons to disable the Veilthrin defenders without destroying the shipyard. Within 2 hours, the facility was under human control. But the real surprise came when the human engineering teams started working on the captured ships. Dr. Foster's people began modifying them, using human technology to improve alien designs. "Admiral," Dr. Foster reported, "these ships are actually not bad. The aliens just don't know how to use them properly. With our modifications, they'll be better than anything the Veilthrins have." Meanwhile, Captain Williams was attacking a weapons factory on another world. His job was more complicated because this world had a native population that the Veilthrans had enslaved. "All ships, be careful with your targeting," he ordered. "There are innocent people down there." But as his ships approached the planet, something unexpected happened. The enslaved population began fighting back. They had seen the human ships arrive, and they had decided this was their chance for freedom. "Captain," his communications officer said, "we're getting messages from the planet. The local population is asking for our help to overthrow their Veilthrian masters." "Tell them we're here to help," Williams said, "and tell them to stay away from the weapons factories. We're going to take care of those." The battle on the planet was unlike anything the humans had fought before. It wasn't just humans against aliens. It was humans and freed slaves against the Velthron occupiers. The result was a complete victory. The weapons factory was captured, the Velthron forces were defeated, and an entire world was liberated. Similar battles were happening across Velthron territory. Every attack was successful. Every human fleet accomplished its mission. But the most important battle was happening at the Yasti, Velthron capital world. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Adams was leading this attack. He had developed new tactics that combined ancient Earth military strategies with modern space technology. His approach was completely different from normal space warfare. All ships, remember the plan, he said. We're not here to occupy their capital. We're here to send a message. The human fleet appeared in the capital system like ghosts. Their probability drives made them impossible to track. Their entropy weapons made the Velthron defenses useless. But instead of attacking the planet, Adams did something unexpected. He attacked the Velthron fleet that was defending the capital. Target their flagship, he ordered, but don't destroy it. Disable it. The human ships swarmed around the Velthron flagship like bees around a bear. They used their entropy weapons to shut down its systems one by one. Within minutes, the most powerful ship in the Velthron fleet was helpless. Then Adams opened a communication channel to the entire planet. People of the Velthron Empire, he said, we are not here to conquer you. We are here to show you that your leaders are not as strong as they claim to be. Look at your flagship. Look at your defenses. They could not stop us, and we are just one small fleet. He paused, then continued. But we do not want to rule you. We want to trade with you. We want to learn from you. We want to be your friends, not your enemies. The choice is yours. Then the human fleet left. They had proven their point and delivered their message. The Velthron capital was defenseless against human attack, but the humans had chosen not to attack. Back on Earth, the reports were coming in. Every mission had succeeded. The Velthron Empire was in chaos. Their shipyards were captured. Their weapons factories were destroyed, and their subject races were rebelling. But the biggest shock was the response from the liberated worlds. Instead of celebrating their freedom and going back to their old ways, they were asking to join the human alliance. Admiral, General Moore said to Morrison, we're getting requests from 47 different species. They all want to become allies with humanity. Why? Morrison asked. Because we did something the Velthrons never did. We gave them a choice. We offered them freedom instead of slavery, cooperation instead of conquest. Dr. Webb looked at the reports from the captured shipyards. General, with these new allies and the captured technology, we can build a fleet that's bigger than the entire Velthron Empire. But do we want to? General Moore asked. Are we trying to replace the Velthrons as the rulers of the galaxy? Admiral Morrison thought about this. No, we're trying to create something better. A galaxy where different species work together instead of one species ruling all the others. The war was far from over, but the balance had completely shifted. The Velthrons were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. High Commander Zektar was on his way back to the capital when he received the news about the human attacks. His own fleet had been defeated, his empire's most important worlds had been captured, and his capital had been humiliated. How is this possible? He asked his officers. They were supposed to be a primitive species. Commander, His Science. Officer said, I think we made a mistake. They're not primitive. They're different. They think in